Welcome to Hammer Time with Mr. Postframe, where we cover tools, equipment, and anything related to building your dream. Let's go ahead and get into it. On this episode of Hammer Time, we'll be talking about the Stabila LAR 350 rotary laser. All right, welcome back to Mr. Postframe. Today we are going to talk about an invaluable tool, the Stabila LAR 350 rotary laser. It is one of my must-have tools for building, whether you're self-building, whether you run a business. So we're going to kind of show you the basic uses for that today. We're on a job site now. We're going to start. Before we get going, we design barndominiums all across the country. So if you're interested in a barndominium, post frame shop, garage, send us an email. We can help you out with that. Also, we have a self-build group on Patreon. It's for people who want to self-build their barndominium, their house or garage, shop. It's a community of other self-builders. You get to share your build on there. We talk about different topics every month. We have lives. It's a great community of other self-builders that will help you be successful in your journey. So check that out. But let's go ahead and jump in to learning more about the Stabila LAR 350. So we're going to set up the rotary laser, and there's a few parts to it. You get a tripod, which I have that set up. You just want to get that as level as possible. This is an auto leveling laser, so when I turn it on, it will actually level itself, which is awesome. It comes with your grade stick, your receiver mounting bracket. Comes with a wall mounting plate, so if you're doing something on the inside, you just want to set the laser up to cast a laser around an entire room, you can do that. So it comes with everything you need to be successful. Some of the things that this does is, when it's sitting on the tripod, it casts a level laser beam around there that you can hit with your receiver. If it's in a darker place, you can actually see the laser. It has a little receiver plate where you can go up to see if it, where the laser is, or it has the receiver that you can take up to a wall, hold it against the wall, and go up and down until it tones out, make your marks. You can also lay out walls with this. So you can turn this on its side, and it casts a plumb bob out the top. So say I wanted to hit a point on a wall, I could put that plumb bob on the wall and it'll cast a perfectly 90-degree laser line from this. It will also do grade. So say if you want to make sure that your concrete is going to slope 1%, you can program this to do that as well. I can honestly say I've never used the grade part of this, but what we're going to do today is use it to find our highest pier. We've already poured the piers on here, and then once we find the highest one, we're going to zero it out and mark all of the rest of these, so we'll be able to know how much all the rest of the piers need to be brought up to be perfectly level. And if you're asking yourself, why aren't they all perfectly level, it's next to impossible. They might be off a 1/4 inch, 3/8. Just when you're pouring concrete, they can kind of vary. So we need to know how much we need extra to add to our posts so they're all perfectly level. We have other videos on that very specific thing if you're interested, but I'm going to mount this to the tripod. It does have a remote if you want to carry it. I never carry the remote, but it's here. Then you have your receiver and your mounting plate, so I'm going to mount that up. Grade stick has metric and imperial. Obviously I'm here in the US, so we use imperial. I'm going to face my receiver, mount that so it's on the metric side, so I'm on the back side looking at the imperial numbers. Once that's on my grade stick, I can move that up and down right here. I can extend it here. And then it's got a bubble level, so you know that your grade stick is plumb. So now that we got this all set up, I'll turn the laser on and you'll be able to see it self-level, and then it'll start spinning. All right, now that I got that on, I'm going to turn my receiver on. And your receiver has, you can set it in inches, you can set it in fractions, or decimals or fractions, whatever you want, imperial or metric. I have mine set up imperial, inches, and fractions. That way when I'm making most of my measurements on my columns, posts, whatever the case is, I just have to take what's on here and put it on my board or whatever the case is. So I'm going to start at this corner column and I'm going to zero this out. So if you can hear that slow beep, a slow beep means I need to go up, or you can look at the back of your receiver. Fast beeps mean I need to go down. It's just an audible thing so that when you get used to using this, you know if I have fast beeps, I need to go down. If I have slow beeps, I need to go up. I'm going to make sure my bubble is in the center of my circle. And then I'm going to go down until I'm toned out, which I need to do it on this. So I am zeroed out on this one. Now what I can do is I can go around and hit each one of these and figure out which one is the highest one. If it says, if there's an arrow pointing up, that means to get to 0, that column would have to, or that pier would have to come up. If it's arrow pointing down, that means it's higher than this one. So if I have an arrow that's pointing up, I'm gonna not even pay attention to it. If it's an arrow pointing down, I'm gonna re-zero this because that's now my highest one. And then I'll do that all the way around. And whichever one's the highest one, that's what I will zero this out on. And then I'll take my marker, hit each one again, and write on each bracket what I need to add to that column to get it up to grade. So far the corner one's still the highest. So this is probably, I would say, a pretty high-end rotary laser for this type of construction, and you can get cheaper ones. I think this one costs around 1,800 bucks, somewhere in there. But if you buy a cheaper one, say you can get one for 500, 600, 700, the problem with those is a lot of time the bright sun will affect them. Their accuracy rating isn't as good. I can tell you I've been building with this one. This is the only one I've owned, and it still works perfectly. And when I put a level on my girts, when I put them on my building, it's perfectly level. So this thing works really well over big areas. That's another thing where other lasers will fail, is they're only accurate for a certain distance before their plus or minus rating kind of gets out of control. So this is kind of one of those things, one of those tools where you got to kind of get what you pay for. I have no affiliation with Stabila whatsoever at this point. I just really like this laser and it works amazing. They make quality products, but just keep that in mind. If you're trying to get by with something cheaper, it might not be worth it, because this tool is going to determine how level and plumb your building is. When you go to set your trims, you can use it to set your line across the bottom where you're going to start. So that is pretty crucial to your success and how much really enjoyment you're going to get building your structure. What's the chances that that corner one's going to be the highest, Justin? Looking pretty good so far. These are all like an inch below. I can honestly say that has never happened to me before, where the first one I did was the highest one, but this corner one is my highest one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a 0 on the side. Of course, I bring a marker. It's basically dead. And say another one would have been the highest one. We want to make sure we're starting at 0. That way, if you stop what you're doing or whatever, you can come back and make sure. I always keep this at 0 just because it's a good reference for me. So for some reason I want to see what -1 is, I can always return to 0 and know I'm going to be back to where my laser is. So I've got this one marked at 0. Now we're just going to go along. Guess I can do this one right here. Make sure my bubble is in there. Seven eighths. And then it actually tells me on here, if you can see, it's got a little arrow pointing up, and then it tells me how much I need to go up. And this one's a 1/4 inch, I believe it says. 1/4 inch. So we're just going to write +1/4. 0 +1/4 plus 7/16 plus 3/16. So the way we build, we use a 2x12 grade board, and we find the highest one because then we know that when we set our grade board will go down to the top of this pier. We know that all of the other ones are lower, so that grade board isn't going to be interfered with by the pier. And it eliminates, oh, this one's minus, this one's plus. If I find the highest one, then every single other pier is going to be plus in whatever dimension it is. It just simplifies things, and that's why we do that. Alright guys, I'm breaking away from what I'm doing real quick. I've been wearing these Weaver Tool Gear tool belts, and they just sent me an email that from September 1st through the 4th, they're going to have 20% off sale on all of their products. You just have to use code LABOR20. Keep an eye out on that. They make great tool belts. All the details will be in the description, but check that out. So right here in front we have 3 garage doors, so we'll use universal brackets, which are dry set brackets, so they don't have a base. So we'll just write our measurement right on the concrete, and then we put our post there, put our bracket beside it, and dry set it. Alright, here is a good example. These are our porch post brackets, which we set up. We slide a 2x4 under them so the concrete actually gets poured underneath them. That way our post isn't in the concrete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this right here to move down, and by depending on how much I have to go down, it'll tell me exactly what the difference is between our bracket that is 0 and this. That way we can then do our math when we get to that point. It's a little bit confusing to explain here without the building up what our grade inside is versus what our grade is out here, because we set our concrete on our porch is down 3 inches, and then we have a 1 degree slope, which ends up being around 3.5, 4 inches out here below our interior slab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this and let it slide down until I tone out. Now if you look at this line right here, I had it 0. So now I know that this is 1, 2, 3 inches, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's about halfway between the 6th and 7th mark, so that would be 13/16. So I'm 3 13/16 higher than grade, that's what I'm going to write on here. I'm going to write plus 3 13/16, so we know that's how much higher above our 0 we are. 13/16, 3 13/16 high. So minus. All right, guys. So I know the way we build, 7 inches above 0 is our finished concrete floor, which includes our 2 inches of insulation and then our 5-inch slab. So you have to calculate that on your own, the thickness of your slab. But we use 2-inch insulation, 5-inch slab, so that's 7 inches we are above 0. This is 3 13/16 above 0, so I have to take 7 inches and subtract this number, which ends up being 3 3/16. So this right here is 3 3/16 inches lower than our finished concrete floor, which gives us plenty to set our concrete up against the house, 2.5 inches below the finished concrete, and still have enough slope so water drains off our porch. So that's what this number means right here. This one we are 3, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 sixteenths. 3 7 sixteenths. So that means 7, that's 4, so 9 sixteenths, 3 9 sixteenths below. So here is a quick example of how this laser level has helped us, in this case, determine all of our cut lengths of our porch posts. These are post and beam porches that we're using. So I know that I have a 9-foot ceiling height. So I know I have a 9-foot ceiling height. I'm going to use a 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch for my beam. So I got to subtract 5.5 inches from 9, which is 8, 6.5. So now I know that's what I need my post to be in order to have a 9-foot ceiling. If you can look at this bracket, I am 3 7/8 inches below finished concrete for the house. So I know I need to add 3 7/8 to this measurement for my cut length. So we got 8 feet, we got 6 inches and 3 inches, which is 9 inches. We have 7/8 and a half, so if we take an eighth from that, that'll give us 1. And then we have 3/8 left. So we have 8, 10, and 3/8 is what our post needs to be cut. Three and 11/16. So 8, 9. So that's me. I'd have 3/16 left. Yeah, so 3/16. So 8, 10, 3/16. Alright, so if you guys ever see this flashing like this, couple reasons. This got bumped. Maybe you drove a piece of equipment around and the ground vibrated. So it's just alerting you to hit the reset button, which is the power button. And then it's a good idea to recheck your zero just to make sure you're still on. Today we showed you one way how we use the Stabila layout laser to build our buildings. Prior to this stage, we will use it to set our building pad. We set all of our piers with it. So basically when I come into a job site, our grader has this all flattened out. They have 4 to 6 inches of rock there. I'm going to go around, find the highest point of that pad, which is usually, for my guy, plus or minus an inch, and I'm going to set that pier form sonotube flush with the ground. And then as I go around drilling holes, I set all of my tubes with the laser level. Now you're asking yourself, well then why are they off plus or minus? Because when you're filling these with concrete, you have expansion, contraction, maybe you get a 1/4 inch of settlement in the bottom of your hole, which is all fine, but you want to try to start out as level as possible. So that's the way we use it there. When we're setting our trims, we'll go around and use our laser level to mark both ends of our building so we know our marks are identical, and then we'll snap a chalk line to set our bottom square base. We can use it to set our wainscot trim, all that kind of good stuff. So the possibilities with this are endless, and it really brings a level of quality to your build that you can't really get without it. One quick tip is if you're using this and it's muddy out, it just rained, make sure you check the bottom of this. So if you're pushing this against the ground, make sure no mud gets built up on here, because that will throw you off. There we go. Alright guys, so that's going to be a wrap on today's video, the Stabila layout laser, kind of how we use it. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll do the best we can to answer them. As always, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share us with your friends, and we will catch you on the next video.